C# is a language that is built by Microsoft for working with Microsoft's .NET application platforms. It is a language that's very similar to other languages you may have seen, such as JavaScript or Java or C, C++, Objective-C. If you've used any of these languages in the past, you're going to feel right at home pretty much in C#. Syntactically, the language is very similar. C# is what's called a managed code environment. Memory management is automatic. So if you've worked with other languages like C or Objective-C, then you've probably come across situations where you have to create and destroy objects on your own. C# does all of that for you. When you create an object, the C# interpreter or compiler actually takes care of making sure that that memory is returned to the system at some point, and you don't have to worry about it. C# is a compiled language. Unlike some other languages you may be familiar with, like JavaScript or Perl, you must first build a C# program before you can run it. And this step is called compiling the application. JavaScript and Perl are interpreted languages. In other words, the execution engine, in the case of JavaScript, for example, that would be the browser, actually interprets the language line by line as it goes through the program and runs it as it discovers new statements and other things in the language. C# isn't like that. In C#, you write your code, then you have to go through the compilation step, and then you can run the application. Now, at its heart, C# is an object-oriented programming language. In C#, pretty much almost everything can be treated as an object. I've underlined the word almost there because there are a couple of esoteric cases where not everything is an object. But for our purposes in this course, you can pretty much think that everything in C# is an object and can be treated that way. In fact, in C# there are no global functions or variables. Everything is in classes. And that might be different from other languages you might be familiar with, like JavaScript or like C. But in C#, everything has to be inside of a class, and we'll come across that as we go further into the language. Now, as I mentioned earlier, C# is a foundation for working with many different Microsoft platform technologies. At the bottom of the stack is something called the Common Language Runtime. This is the execution engine or virtual machine or whatever you want to call it that actually interprets all the various bytes that the program gets compiled down to and is what runs your code. On top of that are the Microsoft .NET Framework libraries. This is code that is provided to you by .NET that performs a whole bunch of common things that applications have to do, such as reading and writing from files, working with the web, and all that kind of stuff. That's all contained in the .NET Framework libraries. On top of that is the C# language, which we'll be working with today.